and they'll tell you to slow down. They'll tell you not to stock a shelf so fast. They'll tell you not to paint that so quickly. They'll tell you quit doing 200 things an hour, do 125 an hour. You're going to make everybody look bad. This is why I say this is why union membership is dying. That's why unions are dying. This is why unions are such a nightmare. This is why unions rob you of any opportunity that you might have over and above what you're getting right now. They have no place in American society. They are largely propped up. They barely exist in the private sector. Their largest base is in the public sector. And what's that tell you then? If the people who need it the worst, I should say, public sector people, are the ones that exploit it the most, right? Public sector people, they have the government. They work for the government. They are the people to enforce the laws that unions were originally built to help out, right? Back in the 20s and 30s, people were getting abused. They come in, they put in labor laws, they put in union laws. I'm not saying this is not an endorsement of any labor laws, by the way. We can get to that. But they put the unions in place, and the unions had a very specific purpose, and they fulfilled that purpose. But somewhere into the 80s and the 90s, union membership went whoosh. Why? Why does union membership disappear in the public sphere or in the private sphere, do you think?
Probably because they weren't sticking up for their union members, or they weren't providing a good enough service for their union members.
That's it. That's partially it. Yes. The other thing too is so they don't. If you're a conservative, let's say, unions, I don't hate unions because of their politics. I hate unions because I think they sap the life and the energy and the opportunity out of people, out of workers, in a way, and they in a way exploit the workers, because for them it's all about getting that money, and then 98% of that money goes to democratic causes that help to facilitate this lifestyle, if you will, this business type that they have created, to the detriment of the people that they purport to represent and are supposed to be looking out for. I think that's a bunch of nothing, and I think it is a lie. The other thing, though, and this is where Mr. Market talks, is these unions have deteriorated over the years in the private sector because people don't like being held back, and a union holds you back. I belonged to a union briefly for a while, and they'll tell you to slow down. They'll tell you not to stock a shelf so fast. They'll tell you not to paint that so quickly. They'll tell you quit doing 200 things an hour, do 125 an hour. You're going to make everybody look bad. That's the union mentality. I did what I could. That's all I got. And then I go home. That's fine, I suppose. You can have that attitude. But I think the people have spoken when it comes to unions by saying that we're not going to do that. We don't want that. We want opportunity. We want to make it out on our own. These are the people who can. Remember, unions, the one thing they do very well is they enrich people who are too stupid to work. They enrich the people in the union that can't cover for themselves, that can't take care of themselves, that can't compete for themselves. They ratchet up from a competitive perspective so that if you're up here, they even that out. They don't bring everybody up to your level. Right? They don't bring everybody up to here. They go like this, right? And this is how they do it. And you come down so that the level is all down here. And what you get is no advancement. You don't get promotions, aren't nearly as easy. Pay raises are all scheduled out. So if you do an extraordinary job and you're better than 10 other people in your department, you get nothing. You get the same thing that they get. The same thing. Even though you'd be a high flyer. So the high flyers are like, we're out of here because this sucks. We're going to go work somewhere else where we can get paid for our work. And so anytime I hear the unions, and then, of course, they gravitated into the public sphere where they're not even needed. And anybody that's been to a DMV knows what dealing with public sector unions are like. Anybody who's heard stories about how it is impossible to fire somebody in the public sector will understand why it is that unions have so badly misplayed their hand. And at some point, I hope it catches up with them, although I don't think it will, because the same people making the rules are the same ones living by them in government, the bureaucrats. So that's my. We've heard that before. I've talked about unions before. That's my take on unions.